It's time for Overtime on ANF. In this episode, we will discuss the Atlanta Falcons and the prank call heard around the world, what the organization must do to learn from this mistake and move forward. The Atlanta Braves have won 9 of their last 12. What they can do to take 2 of 3 at least from the World Series champion LA Dodgers. And the Atlanta Hawks try to lull a big fish this offseason. Can they bring in Giannis? Can they bring in Kevin Durant? We discuss. All right, Overtime family, welcome in episode 2. I don't even know if we're going to be counting each and every one of these episodes, but I'll count it as episode 2. It is May 2nd, 2 maybe will be our theme here as we have an episode on a Friday. Thanks for joining us wherever you join us. I am feeling a little sweaty this Friday. Just got done with the Atlanta United media game. Shout out to all of the media members, assistant coaches, and everybody who participated in that game. Our team connector, fell short in penalty kicks in what was called one of the most exciting media games ever for Atlanta United. It's only been 4 years of them having that event. Really appreciate the entire organization for welcoming us in. Got a tour of their new facility. That was really cool. And got to play in the game. Some weird touches if you saw that. I'm not a soccer player. Bailey Burmaster was out there showing us her soccer skills. Of course, she played at Oklahoma State and had some success there. I think she even scored a goal for us. We'll get her on the pod and dissect some of those touches here maybe later in one of the episodes. But that's what's going on in our neck of the woods. Hope you're feeling good and hope you are going to have a good weekend. Let's just jump right into it with the Atlanta Falcons because this is a story that had a lot of fanfare and had a lot of headlines and media attention, naturally, with Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of Falcons defensive coordinator Jax Ulbrich, claiming credit for the draft day prank call of Colorado quarterback, now Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders, and saying that he got it off his dad's unopened iPad. There have since been fines levied, $100,000 to Jax Ulbrich, $250,000 to the Atlanta Falcons organization. And just overall, I saw this headline from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Just shame. Shame once again descending upon the Atlanta Falcons organization. After what was a fantastic draft, everybody lauding them, saying, you did it. I saw A-, really rock star Terry Fontenot being aggressive, addressing his team's biggest needs. They go defense with 4 of the 5 picks. Everything was focused on football, focused on moving forward. I didn't even hear a lot of Kirk Cousins conversations in this draft as far as Atlanta was concerned. It was overwhelmingly positive around the Atlanta Falcons organization as it related to the draft. And then this story comes across. I'm glad we're actually addressing this on Friday because we don't have to do the nuts and bolts of what happened. You all know what happened by now. Let's advance it. Let's advance this story. Let's move it forward. How can the Falcons learn from this? How can the league learn from this? How can the organization really take this and move forward? Let's add a little bit more context because I think the context is what makes this really just another dark cloud over the organization. They're trying to move forward. They're trying to do things in the right direction. They're trying to move on the straight and narrow. But what sitcom was it where maybe Martin? I know somebody's going to hear this and just give me a lot of crap. Maybe it was Martin. But there was a character in Martin, or the sitcom that I'm not getting right, called Can't Get Right. This character could not get out of his own way. He'd get a job and then show up late. Or he'd get a plane ticket for an extravagant vacation and win the lottery and lose his lottery ticket. There was so many things that would go right, and then he just could not get right, couldn't get out of his own way. And the Atlanta Falcons feel like that right now. They feel like can't get right. This is a tweet from Nate Tice, or a post. I don't know if we're calling them tweets anymore. It's a post from Nate Tice on X. Nate Tice is a writer for Yahoo and NFL Network. Nate Tice writes, in the past decades, the Atlanta Falcons have been fined $350,000 plus a 5th-round draft pick for the illegal crowd noise. We remember that. $75,000 plus $25,000 to the head coach for an injury report violation of Bijan Robinson, and we remember that. I think it was a game in Tampa Bay that he popped up on the injury report day of and didn't play. $250,000 and a fifth-round draft pick for Kirk Cousins. That might be the worst of the entire list. Because at the time, you're like, this guy will be our starter for 3 or 4 years. He'll transition into the next rookie. He's a starter. We'll swallow the fine. We'll swallow what it took to get him as long as he comes here and contributes. And we all know what happened there. So $250,000 and a fifth-round draft pick to acquire Kirk Cousins. And then $250,000 and another $100,000 to the defensive coordinator for this prank call. And if you remember, the commenters kind of comment in here. Remember, Calvin Ridley got suspended. Remember some other things that happened, but specific to those, over $1 million in fines for the Atlanta Falcons. That's the context behind this prank call. The Atlanta Falcons can't get right. And whether you want to blame Jax, who I think obviously deserves the majority of the blame, I mean, he's the one that actually, did the call here. He's the one that, really put his dad in some hot water. Whether you want to blame him, whether you want to blame Jeff, it's his house, his rules. Whether you want to blame the Atlanta Falcons for sending out this, because is Jax Ulbrich on the phone with some of these draft picks? Is there a reason why he should have even had some of these numbers? I know Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk is saying that these numbers were sent to over 2,000 people, and anybody really of that list could have had it. And once you factor in, once that list gets multiplied and sent out to internal people, what can Atlanta learn from this? For one, optics are everything. Optics are everything for the Atlanta Falcons organization. This is a team that has struggled they haven't had a winning season since 2017. Struggled to win football games. And then, inside the walls, when you're running your business, this is just bad business. Our other teams and other organizations, they're talking bad about you behind your back. They're whispering. Jax Ulbrich. They can't get right over there in Atlanta. I hate to say the dreaded phrase, but since 28-3, it's been nasty. It's been very nasty here in Atlanta. This prank call is just the latest. This prank call is just the latest in a line of mess ups. I wonder if they pare down some of those lists from here. I wonder if Jax Ulbrich's leash is a little bit shorter. Remember, he was just rehired this offseason, came over from the Jets after being a DC under Raheem Morris previously when he was the interim coach. It's not a good look. I commend Ulbrich for just eating it, just eating the presser, eating the fine, not appealing anything, just saying, hey, it's me, it's my fault, my son's fault, and this was really an epidemic this year. Shedeur Sanders, I saw Abdul Carter came out and said he got prank called. There was a Penn State prospect that came out with a prank call. They were unearthing videos from previous years of guys getting prank called. Maybe, the organizations find a better way to do this, because it's clear that whatever they're doing right now is not working. Maybe we find a better way to disseminate these information. Maybe we do a Zoom call. Maybe we figure out a better way to communicate with these prospects. Because what happened this past week with the NFL draft and the prank call specific to the Falcons and the NFL, it's multiple people who I believe are at fault for what went wrong there. I'd love to hear what y'all think and what could possibly change going forward. Shoot me a message on X at AaronLaddTV. Would love to hear y'all chat with us on that, or tag the station, Atlanta News First. Let's talk some Braves now. Braves have won 9 of their last 12. They welcome in the World Series champion, reigning World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers to Truist Park for the first of 3. Look, it didn't go well the last time these two teams played. I don't think anybody's naive about that. Braves got their butt beat in San Diego, thought that they were going to go to LA, maybe get one to salvage the West Coast road trip. Humbling, starting the year 0-7. Since then, Atlanta has rebounded. And really the offense has found a groove that they hadn't shown in that West Coast series. Sean Murphy has come back from the rib injury to be a catalyst on offense. Eli White has offered you something. You can't talk enough about our guy Paul Wall, Alex Verdugo, 4-for-4 day out in the desert as the Braves took 2 or 3 from the Diamondbacks. Big reason why this team has rebounded. Their offense. And I've been begging. If you know me, I've been begging for this Braves team to play small ball. Go small ball. Go station to station. We see that every postseason. The teams that can get guys on base and move runners over, consistently score runs, put pressure on the pitcher to make pitches, those are the teams that win consistently. The Braves, in my opinion, too often have been consistent, or reliant, on the long ball. And we saw that in some of their shortcomings. The issues with runners in scoring position. The issues with getting shut out. Now, as you see that they've kind of rebounded and come into their own form, yes, the starting pitching has been better. Chris Sale starting to look like more of himself. Gotten his first win of the season in that most recent road trip. The starters are going to start. To me, the starters have never been the issue. Now, the bullpen, different story. Bullpen is still making me a little nervous. Raisel Iglesias is a guy that, you've gone to him in those closing moments, and you've consistently relied on him to be a 3-up, 3-down guy. It hasn't looked that same way lately. It hasn't looked that same way lately for Raisel. But offensively, you can't be upset with what you're seeing for Atlanta. LA is going to offer a different challenge, and I'm quickly scrambling to pull up the starters for tonight's game. Tonight being Friday, if you're listening to this when it drops. Between the Braves and the Dodgers, that is a 7:15 first pitch between the Braves and the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are starting off a 10-game road trip with this series right here. I'd love to hear your predictions for what the Atlanta Braves will do going forward. And look, this is another one of my Yamamoto pitching for LA on Friday, right-hander, 3-2 with a 1.06 ERA, and it's Grant Holmes going for Atlanta, 2-1 with a 4.15 ERA. I would love to hear your opinions on where the Braves are now, where they'll be 4th of July or All-Star break, and where you think they end the year. Because I don't think anybody had them starting the year 0-7. That was something that I don't think anybody saw, but maybe it's exactly what the team needed in rebounding. And the one thing that's still lurking, and I'm sure we're talking about this going forward, Ronald Acuna. We talked about him and some of his social media antics in the first episode. What does he bring to this roster and this lineup when he comes back? We'll keep an eye on the Atlanta Braves as they start that 3-game set with the LA Dodgers this Friday from Truist. Let's finish with the Atlanta Hawks. Not too much news on the Atlanta Hawks, but I thought it was very cool that Dyson Daniels did come home with some hardware, was a runner-up for the Defensive Player of the Year award, did not get the Teammate of the Year award. There was one other award that he was up for, but did end up going home with our six-man. No, it wasn't one of those. Anyway, he gets the Most Improved Player, which I think was rightfully deserved. I think a lot of people were wondering if Cade Cunningham would maybe get it, considering that he improved the Detroit, or helped improve the Pistons' win total by 30 points and helped give them a chance in the playoffs this year. But instead it was Dyson Daniels, led the league in steals, and really made a leap after coming from New Orleans. And like we talked about in previous episodes, like this was a guy who wasn't necessarily a throw-in in the DeJounte Murray deal, but he wasn't a guy that was highly thought of as could be a difference maker. And now he's proven to be that. But Atlanta is really in need of a true star in this one. They need a co-star alongside Trae Young. Trae Young some of the early reports from the national guys, Chris Haynes, and the likes like that, the Shams of the world, they're saying Trey's here. He's reestablished himself as a star. The team wants to build around him. Expect an extension for Trey Young to come sooner rather than later when the Hawks get into the offseason. From there, they want to go big game hunting. And there's already been rumors around some of the biggest names in the offseason attaching themselves to Atlanta. Yes, I'm talking about a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, I'm talking about a Kevin Durant. Two big stars who we expect to hear their name plenty around the rumor mill this offseason. For Giannis, he's a guy who's not a free agent, and it's going to be tough to acquire his services. I've already tried to push back on social media against some of the asking price. For the Hawks, some of your big assets, the Jalen Johnsons, the Onyeka Okongwus of the world, you have 2 first-round picks in this upcoming draft. How much of that are you willing to part with if you're Atlanta with new general manager Ansi Salah? Like, in my opinion, if you're a new GM, you want to hold on to some of those assets as much as possible. You don't want to mortgage your entire future and have nothing to play with and nothing to work with going forward. You got to hold on to some of that. That draft capital is your cash to spend. Those young players, those are your assets, and that's who your future, who you're building around. If I'm the Hawks, I'd be hesitant to trade Jalen Johnson. Yes, he's young and sought after, and a lot of teams who you're asking for deals with are going to want to throw that name around, but I think you just extended him. I think the labrum surgery was an unfortunate end to the 2024-25 season, but we've seen what it looks like when he's healthy with Trey. I would try to keep him. It's going to be tough when you're calling out these names, these top-level guys, these Olympians, in this case, that we're talking about, a Giannis and a Durant. Like, the asking price is going to be high. The team that's acquiring their services, they leave you here with something. In the words of Denzel Washington. So what are your trade packages? What are you willing to give up if it means to acquire the services of Kevin Durant, an older player? Giannis is a little bit of an older player. You're trading young for old, which is never a good thing. I wonder what the Hawks' philosophy is going into this offseason. We still haven't had an opportunity to talk with Ansi Salah yet. Would love to ask him that question. Are you? I know you want to win. Hawks haven't been in the playoffs the last 2 years, lost in the play-in. Have not been in the playoffs 5 out of the last 8 years. How do you balance the young core, developing some of those young guys, Dyson, Double O, JJ, Zachary Resache? How do you balance, getting those guys minutes and the expectation that they'll grow their game and develop while also trying to compete for a championship? It's one of the things Landry Fields talked about at the exit interviews before he was shown the exit. If I had to guess, we're making predictions. I made a prediction and thought our media game team was going to win. Why not make another one? I think the Hawks stay out of the big game. The big game. I could see them packaging those picks and moving up in the draft. Mark that down, May 2nd. But as far as packaging those picks and getting getting the Kevin Durant, getting a Giannis, you also have to consider those guys would have to want to come here. For a KD and a Giannis, do they want to sign up to play with young players again? I mean, we just saw the disaster that was just in Phoenix. Do those guys want to have it be a maybe, or do they want to ring chase again? Do they want to go to an LA? I saw Kyrie Irving sitting courtside at the Lakers game when they got eliminated. Like, you got to consider there's 2 names on those contracts. There's team and player. The players have to buy in as well. And I would, as of this taping, bet against those things happening. That was Falcons, that was Braves, that was Hawks, and that was episode 2 of ANF Overtime on ANF. Appreciate you tapping in with us. We will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, peace, baby.